If you're unimpressed with Bitcoin's performance in your portfolio, there is a 100% chance that you bought Bitcoin very recently. So Bitcoin is the highest it's ever been in human history right now at 110,000, other than the last 100 days. So all the Bitcoin you ever bought other than the last 100 days is in the money, meaning you are up on any Bitcoin investment other than the last 100 days. But what if you invested before the last 100 days? Let's call it super late in November or in the first half of 2025, and you're feeling like, okay, but I'm only up 10% or I'm only up 20%. So the reason for that is it's just a function of patience. Bitcoin tends to go where it grinds sideways for some prolonged period of time, then it sort of resets to a significantly higher price, then it grinds sideways for a significant period of time. So last year, for 8 months, between the middle of March and early November, so it was between 7.5 and 8 months, let's call it about 8 months, from roughly the middle of March to the middle of November. Um, Although it was technically like the first week of November, second week of November, something like that. Anyway, Bitcoin essentially traded in the same range of $55,000 to $70,000, 55 to 70, 55,000 to $70,000. And there was a bunch of people who bought Bitcoin for the first time in that range. Their first Bitcoin had been bought at 68,000, 64,000, 62,000. There were some people that bought Bitcoin in the 40,000s, but then they didn't really make their first big purchase until it ran up and it was like $72,000. So there was a lot of people that ended up with a cost basis, meaning the average price of the Bitcoin they bought, with a cost basis that was in the 62 to $68,000 range. I mean, that applied to a lot of people. And so there was a long time for a lot of people. Again, when the prices are down at 60,000, it's closer to a 5%, move is $5,000 or $6,000. Let's call it $6,000. I should say a $6,000 move on 60,000 is 10%. A $3,000 move is 5%. Roughly all of those numbers are double now. And so, people forget that a few $1,000s actually was a big swing back then. But I talked to a lot of people who were sort of unimpressed with the performance of their Bitcoin investment, because they were like, look, Joel, I mean, I bought it at, 68, and then I bought some more at 62. My average is like 64. The price is like 66. Like, this is just not that impressive. And I'll tell you today what I told them then is just give it a minute. Just wait a little bit. Wait for Bitcoin to do its thing. If you bought Bitcoin, a lot of the Bitcoin you bought in the last 100 days, you have a cost basis that is somewhere in the 100,000s. Maybe it's 110, maybe it's 112, maybe it's 105. If you started buying last year and you bought the dips of this year, you've got a cost basis probably 90,000, 95,000, something like that. So again, if you bought something, give me one second. If you bought, if the average price you paid for Bitcoin is $95,000 and it's at 110 and you've sat on it for 9 months, you might be feeling like, hey, I thought this was a high octane investment. I thought the return on my investment would be a lot more than that. Again, just give it time. Be patient. Here's what's going to happen. At some point, the future is unknowable. At some point in the next weeks or months or whatever, Bitcoin will suddenly go from bouncing around between 105 to 115 to bouncing around between, I don't know, 125 and 135. And all the people that buy in that area up there are going to feel just the same way you do now. They're going to be like, why doesn't Bitcoin really do anything? I bought it at 125 and, 135. My average basis is 130. It's kind of hanging around at 130. Bitcoin's not doing anything. But you, of course, sitting here with a cost basis of 90,000 or 95 or 105 are going to be thinking, Bitcoin's pretty great. It's up like 35, 40%. And for some perspective, Bitcoin in the last 12 months, I checked right before I started this video, in the last 12 months, Bitcoin is up 105%. Meaning if you had bought Bitcoin exactly 1 year ago, literally 1 year, which don't ever buy an investment that you're not willing to hold for at least a year. I mean, if you bought it a year ago, you're up 105%. You have more than doubled any amount of money that you put in Bitcoin exactly 1 year ago today. And even if your average cost basis was, in that 8 months bouncing around between 55 and 70,000, even if your average was 65 or something like that, Again, you're still radically up. You're not up quite double, but you're up 85%, 90%, whatever that is. So if you feel like you're not impressed with the performance of your Bitcoin, give it time. Just give it time, and at some point you'll think, "Dang it! I should have bought a whole lot more Bitcoin at 110,000. What was I thinking? I should have known this was going to happen." Now Bitcoin's, in the future 145. Call it a few months from now, and you're like, "Dang it! It's 145. Why didn't I buy a bunch more $110,000 Bitcoin? Now it's 145." Well, then if you actually do buy $145,000 Bitcoin, you will start feeling the same way. You will think, "But wait a second. Now it's sort of chilling. Now it's not really doing anything. What's happening with Bitcoin? Why isn't it performing?" And again, it will be performing. You just got to be patient and understand that, look, if you buy it at 145, you're going to be waiting a while until it's bouncing around at 185, and then you're going to be feeling good. If you bought it at 90,000, you're probably feeling amazing at 120. You're probably feeling less amazing at 110. So no matter what price you pay for Bitcoin, time ultimately makes you feel amazing about your investment. And eventually, with Bitcoin, the only thing you're not going to like about your investment is the fact that you feel like you should have bought more. So the only thing I regret about all the Bitcoin I bought at $6,400 and $9,000 and $12,000 and $14,000 in 2017 and 2018. The only thing I regret about that Bitcoin is that I did not buy way more Bitcoin at 9,000 and 11,000 and 14,000 because I wish I had. I wish I had bought Bitcoin at every price below today's price. And one day you will feel the exact same way about 110. And all the people that are new to Bitcoin will be lamenting the fact that they got in at 145 and it's been 6 months and it's not going anywhere. And then they'll wait and then it'll go to 185 and then it'll go to 100 and 210 and they'll finally feel good about it. It's just the way it is. Every investment, it's not unique to Bitcoin. Every investment's like that. Patience solves everything in investing. As long as you're investing in the right asset, Bitcoin is absolutely the right asset.